Hey folks, I know it's been a while. I hope everybody is doing okay. I just decided I wanted to do this video because of what's currently happening as in regards to Evo. If you don't know about this, there's been some news that basically has announced that they're going to be having more Evos going into this year and beyond. And some people are not taking it well. Some people are excited about it. And I just kind of wanted to give my own take on it. So if you haven't heard, Evo has been purchased fully by the Saudi government, which is, if I'm correct, is Qiddiya Games, if that's the name of the company. And it looks like they're looking to basically do more Evo, essentially. And, on the surface, obviously, it's nice that more regions are going to be able to participate in Evo. And obviously, I don't really have too much of a problem with that. I think, personally for myself, though, the only thing is that I feel like, just kind of like how everybody else kind of feels, is that it's basically kind of taking away. And people are using the word prestige, and that's probably a bad word to use, but it's basically kind of taking away, I guess, what Evo was to begin with, right? And what I basically mean by that is, if we kind of go back to when Evo, at least for me, I guess we go back to like when I actually started watching Evo, which was probably around 2010. At that time, of course, it was just, in Las Vegas. And, it's something that happens once a year, right? So, of course, you're anticipating this. You're watching all the regional tournaments. And then, of course, it's coming down to this tournament of the year, which is Evo. And, of course, you're getting people who are coming, from around the world to compete in fighting games in an open bracket tournament. And, it's just, a lot of excitement, a lot of upsets that happen, some dark horses that come out of nowhere, all sorts of things that occur during Evo, right? Of course, when we move forward, and I can't remember exactly, what the date was, but as we move forward, they announced Evo Japan. And, I was definitely excited about Evo Japan. Of course, fighting games, that's basically what we call like kind of the mecca for fighting games is Japan. That's where they take fighting games, it's like a religion in a sense. Any fighting game that you enjoy, Japan is playing it at a very high level. Let's just, plain and simple, right? So yeah, I was definitely excited to see them do Evo Japan. Initially, what I thought, though, was that they were basically going to have Evo in Japan. That's what I thought. That was going to be the Evo for the year. I did not know that they were still planning to have an Evo, still in Las Vegas. I did not know. That was basically a shocker to me, because I'm figuring that this is just going to be one thing a year, just one event a year, and then that's going to be it. So it's definitely surprising to see that they were going to split the Evo into a different region, and just basically have more than one Evo a year. And of course, as the time passed, then they introduced the Evo France, which was just last year. So yeah, after a while, I'm starting to think that while, I thought Evo, even when I looked at Evo France, I thought that Evo France, that was a hype tournament. Definitely, you can see that France was hype about it. That basically had covered the European region. So you saw that people were excited about that Evo. So I guess the thing is, though, as much as I'd like to see that. Of course, it came down to the fact that now it's like you've got all these three events that are happening, which are supposed to be Evo. And so it's basically sort of, in a sense, even though it's, it's hype. I mean, we can't take that away. I can't take that away from it. But, there's this thing about it basically sort of being, it kind of feels like it's watered down, essentially, where before you had, of course, one thing to look forward to for the year. And now, of course, you're going to be having like multiple EVOs. And, it just doesn't feel to me as exciting as just having the one event. Now, like I said, I don't, for me, it doesn't matter where you have EVO. Like EVO does not have to be in Las Vegas, right? You can have EVO wherever you want to have EVO. And obviously, there are going to be some people who may not be able to participate in every EVO every year because, of course, you're looking at the, you're dealing with, of course, flights and, having to, get certain visas and stuff like that in terms of passport and everything, and, traveling expenses, all that's involved. But the fact of the matter is, that's okay. Not everybody has to go to every single EVO, even though that would be nice. Not everybody has to do that. So obviously to me, having it at like at least for 1 year, one EVO per year, to me, that is sort of would be the choice in my opinion. This is just my feeling on it. Having an EVO, at least once a year is good. It gives people time to prepare for one, that's one of the most important things. And so that they'll be able to basically go to that EVO, because what I'm looking at right now, at least, and when I'm thinking about it, is right now EVO is kind of becoming like what you call like DreamHack. You know about DreamHack. It's it's one of those things where I don't know how big, I'm not, I don't really follow DreamHack that well, but the fact of the matter is it's something I know that occurs, if I'm correct, more than once per year in different locations, right? If I'm correct, within America, maybe it's also out of America, but the thing I'm trying to get at is the fact that that it's everywhere, and it happens, in multiple places. And it doesn't really, I don't really keep up with it that much. I mean, of course, I know that, there's certain events that tie in to DreamHack, like, for instance, with what happened with the SNK World Tour last year. So, that was going to be at DreamHack Atlanta. But, of course, there are, more things that are tying into the DreamHack. But, like I said, it's just, other than that, I would not have known that DreamHack was even, happening. So my thing is, with this EVO, with this, the way that they're doing this with this EVO, I feel like it basically can end up sort of being the same thing. Whereas you won't be able to really, it's going to be easy to just forget that, EVO is coming up in certain locations. Right. Because of course you have so many throughout the year, you're trying to keep up with all of it. It sometimes, you can get overloaded with this type of stuff. And so that's just basically just the way that I'm, seeing it right now. Having it once per year, like I said, you get more time to plan. It's going to bring out, all the best players, at least those who can, of course, afford to make it. And like I said, once again, I can totally understand, the cost of having to travel to, certain regions, or being able to get the passports to go to certain regions. Totally get that. And like I said, it does not have to be in the same location every year. And that's kind of what I really am trying to get at here, is that it can happen, once per year in any sort of location, as long as they plan, ahead of time, for it to be at that location. Okay. And, while of course thinking about this, the actual idea behind this, it seems like, from what I'm gauging, is that they're trying to have certain monopoly on fighting game tournaments, at least from, that's what I'm gauging from what certain people are saying. And that might be the case. And that would kind of be messed up. I mean, to be honest with you. But like I said, at the end of the day, I really feel like, EVO should just be once a year, and that's it. That's just my, opinion on it. Like I said, you can have it in any region, but there's no reason to have multiple EVOs. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. That's my personal feeling. I mean, the way I look at EVO sort of like the Olympics. Even though, the Olympics happen, 4 years, every 4 years, EVO to me is basically like the fighting game Olympics. So, you build up to that moment, that moment in time or whatever. And of course you're having all these different countries participate, and, that's just, in these fighting games. And, that's kind of what it's been. So, once they decided that they were going to go ahead and basically have EVO more than once a year, like I said, it kind of just took some of the magic away from it, in my opinion. Even though, like I said, Japan is EVO Japan was definitely something that anybody was going to look forward to, because, like I said, it's in the mecca of fighting games. So that made perfect sense to me. This, like I said, with the different locations, at least now it just does not make any sense for me. It just, like I said, I just think it should be once per year. And that's kind of my feeling on it. So that's kind of all I really wanted to say. I mean, I guess that might have been long-winded, but I just wanted to kind of just have a, just put an opinion on it. I mean, obviously we'll see how things go. Like I said, I don't think this is a good idea. I think they should have kept the 2-year. But like I said, they have some sort of plan for this. I don't know exactly what their plan is, but I definitely don't agree with how they're going about it. I wish they would have kind of done it differently, which is just by having it 1 year in different locations. I think that would have been the more preferred way to go. But, if you feel different, definitely let me know in the comments. Definitely would be happy to hear exactly how you feel about this in terms of it coming to your region. In terms of them having it, what kind of format would you like to see in terms of EVO? And that's it. I will catch you guys later. Peace out.